Imagine this. What if the walls of a besieged city weren't just crumbling under attack, but turning into a trap that bleeds invaders dry, one by one? In Pekrovsk, Ukraine's elite drone warriors have flipped the script, slaughtering thousands of Russian soldiers in a horrific blood-drenched struggle. Has Russia bitten off more than it can chew, or is this just the start of its downfall in a war nobody asked for? Despite Russia's boasts of encircling Pekrovsk and heralding its doom, their troops still grapple in savage combat, their boots sinking into mud soaked with spilled blood and the acrid stench of gunpowder. Ukraine's guardians unleash brutal blows, piling up corpses under the relentless thump of artillery. Pekrovsk stands as an unyielding bulwark, its jagged ruins echoing defiant shouts. With a daring shift in tactics, Ukraine prolongs its hold, unleashing cataclysmic ruin on invaders through top-tier drone squads. Picture the scene in early November. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky treks to Pekrovsk's frayed edges, savvy to the looming peril crashing like thunderclaps overhead. His jaunts ignite spirits among defenders gripped by the chill of fear, while gleaning raw intel from the fray where bullets whistle past scarred faces. The initial trek, on around November 4 per BBC Tales, yielded scant buzz beyond fleeting images and Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky debunking Russia's encirclement fibs. Yet Zelensky craved more insight, urging a return warpath. On November 11, amid Russia's defense boasts of purging 35 structures, claiming Pekrovsk's collapse, Ukraine vowed fresh special ops with armaments to fortify lines. DW mused uncertainty, but reality unfurled soon after. Zelensky emerged with a stark vow: "This is our land, our eastern heart, we'll fight tooth and nail to shield it Ukrainian." Behind public bravado, covert maneuvers brewed a crimson tide. A November 18 Euromaidan press dispatch unveils how Zelensky toured Mad Bird's Brigade HQ, now a full-strength unit revamped by year's end, masters of drone havoc, electronic eavesdropping, and shadow recon. Forged in Bakhmut's 110-day hell, where they weathered gore and grit before retreating by command, inflicting grievous wounds in war's goriest fray. Defeated yet defiant, they hardened over succeeding years post-March 2023 exodus. Zelensky fixated on them, allying with Syrsky to forge an elite cadre from 25th Airborne, 7th Rapid Response, and the notorious 1st Special Purpose Brigade. Huddled at makeshift drone dens, they laid bare needs to Zelensky directly. He promised resupply, then delivered a merciless edict alongside Syrsky: annihilate the Russians at Pekrovsk. The order struck like a hammer, igniting carnage. Euromaidan press chronicles a butchery devouring Russian ranks. Mad Bird spearheaded south, where Zelensky entrusted them to maximize torment, recalling their October spree eliminating 8,000 foes solely via infamous drones. Tasked with southern sweeps to block reinforcements, they obliterated Russia's tiny infiltrations. About 300 had wormed in, per ABC News on November 17, not through armored onslaughts like Bakhmut's carnage, but stealthy creeps, eking shallow footholds amid urban wreckage. Euromaidan press footage reveals solitary Russians skulking, cloaked in debris musty decay, banking on seeming negligible threats to slide deeper, hoping Ukrainians spare drones for bigger prey. But Mad Birds shattered that delusion, every invader targeted. Lone soldiers, bunkered or burrowed, face unrelenting swarms, drones striking repeatedly until silenced. A Censored.net clip from November 11 exemplifies this: 87 seconds of a solitary marcher's doom. Tramping through scrublands, eyes betraying false security in wrecked metal husks as hiding hovels. Unbeknownst, Mad Bird's gaze locks on. Wave after wave of drones pummel the spot, final strike erasing the foe. Russian expectations crumble, solos unprotected, hunted relentlessly. Accumulating October's 8,000 kills, Mad Birds escalate, neutralizing 39 in one vignette, plus motorcycles and bikes, day-night raids flushing hidden terrors from under rubble or garages. Euromaidan press heralds Russia's prudence crumpled, southern Pekrovsk morphs into a death maze, every motion a mark. Drones' nimble swerves, pinpoint accuracy, and sheer numbers render concealment futile. Politico's November 18 piece frames this as Ukraine's pivot from World War I trench stalemates to drone-saturated no-go zones, lines fluid and unpredictable. Russian probes slink undetected briefly, only to be snuffed in drone clouds, cameras scanning thermal veils, explosives erupting, sentries awakening to crush passers-by. These bubbles extend 20 kilometers, snarling evacuation hopes, injured Russians languish, spied upon. as attempted rescues court ruin. But is Zelensky's gamble enough to stem the tide, or do Russia's desperate gambits hit a shocking reversal lurking in the fog of war? Despite claims that they had encircled Pekrovsk and that the city's fall was inevitable, the Russian forces still find themselves locked in a deadly, grueling struggle. Ukrainian defenders are inflicting catastrophic losses, turning the battlefield into a scene of chaos and destruction. Pekrovsk remains standing, yet for how long? The tide of battle is shifting, and a critical change in Ukraine's strategy could be the turning point. It all started with a series of high-stakes visits from Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Early November, he appeared at the front lines in Pekrovsk, knowing the city's survival was on a knife's edge. His visits were strategic, boosting morale among exhausted fighters and gathering first-hand intelligence from the ground. Photographs showed Zelensky alongside top commanders, brushing aside Russia's claims that Pekrovsk was about to fall. These visits send a clear message: Ukraine is not surrendering Pekrovsk without a fight. Yet beneath these public words, dangerous plans were underway. By November 11, Zelensky made another trip, precisely when Russia declared it had seized dozens of buildings and believed the city was slipping from Ukrainian control. Russia's narrative claimed victory, but Ukraine pushed back, deploying elite units, arming them with vital weapons, and fortifying strategic positions. The truth remained veiled, yet Ukraine's move was decisive. With each step, they knew the battle would escalate into a brutal bloodbath. Behind the scenes, Zelensky was orchestrating a deadly insurgency. His focus was on the renowned Birds of Madhya Brigade, Ukraine's top specialists in drone warfare, electronic intelligence, and deep reconnaissance. These elite soldiers had already etched their names into history during the fierce Battle of Bakhmut, holding the line for over 110 days and inflicting severe casualties on Russia's troops. That victory had only strengthened their resolve and capabilities. In November, Zelensky visited the Madhya headquarters, a cryptic nerve center filled with the hum of drones and the air thick with tension. The president met with the brigade leaders, as well as units like the 25th Airborne, the 7th Rapid Response, and the Elite First Corps. These units had one goal: stop the Russian advance at all costs. Zelensky listened carefully, then issued a chilling decree: annihilate every Russian soldier in Pekrovsk. The order was heard loud and clear. The Madhya Brigade launched a relentless assault, transforming the southern outskirts into a killing zone. Their drones unleashed devastation, destroying entire Russian units with surgical precision. October alone saw approximately 8,000 Russian soldiers wiped out by these drone strikes, as the brigade decimated enemy concentrations with swarms of unmanned aircraft. No bunker, no hiding spot was safe, every target was relentlessly hunted. By early November, the tactics had evolved further. Solo infiltrators, around 300 Russian soldiers scattered through Pekrovsk's ruins, moved stealthily through the city's devastated streets. Small groups slipped past defenses, attempting to establish footholds amid the rubble. The city's once thriving neighborhoods had become mazes of destruction, with only narrow alleyways and broken buildings in which enemies could hide. Their hope? To evade the watchful eyes of Ukraine's drones, getting close enough to strike. But the Madhya birds were everywhere, tracking, attacking, destroying. Their drones hunted these lone infiltrators with relentless precision, forcing Russia's forces into a nightmarish game of cat and mouse. The footage was chilling, showing solitary soldiers maneuvering through forests, thinking they were hidden, only to be targeted with pinpoint accuracy. One drone strike would often wipe out the entire enemy presence in moments, leaving behind silence, smoke, and shattered dreams. The battleground is now a vast network of kill zones, areas saturated with hostile drones, trained on every movement. These regions extend up to 12 miles from the shattered front lines, creating a relentless obstacle for Russian infiltrators. Wounded soldiers, even if captured or injured, rarely receive evacuation. Ukrainian drones maintain unblinking eyes on every fallen target, ensuring no enemy escapes their grasp. Every sound, the faint whir of drones, the distant crackle of weaponry, the scent of burnt debris, adds to the tense atmosphere. In the chaos, the skies are thick with hovering aircraft. Some carry deadly munitions, others act as eyes in the clouds, an ever-present reminder that survival is uncertain. The drone-infested zones have become the new front line, more fluid, more deadly, more unforgiving than ever before. For the Russians, every step inside Pekrovsk risks annihilation. Their infiltrators struggle to advance, their attempts thwarted by relentless technological warfare. Anyone caught is neutralized, no exceptions. The city is now a maze of death, where the only way out is victory, or surrender. This brutal, technological war has reshaped the battlefield. It's no longer a matter of traditional fighting, it's a drone war where precision and ruthlessness determine survival. Pekrovsk is a proving ground, revealing the terrifying power Ukraine's elite drone operators wield. The question remains, how much longer can Russia withstand this modern nightmare? The battle for Pekrovsk is far from over, and every second brings new surprises, new sacrifices, and new stakes in this deadly game of survival. After Zelensky's decisive words, the battlefield erupted into chaos, confirming the message had shattered Russian illusions of victory. The Ukrainian forces launched a relentless offensive that tore through the enemy ranks. Thousands of Russian soldiers were caught in a blood-soaked ambush, caught between the deadly precision of drone strikes and human courage. The sound of whirring drones, the smell of burnt equipment, and the tactile terror of collapsing buildings created a nightmare for invading forces. Now, the battered remnants of Russia's Pekrovsk forces faced annihilation. Yet, hidden inside the city, some soldiers still lurked, tiny units slipping past defenses, trying to carve out a foothold. These infiltrators crept silently, blending into the urban labyrinth, hoping to evade the eagle-eyed drones. Their strategy was simple: operate alone, stay hidden. But Ukraine's elite drone units, the Madia birds, had anticipated this move, and their response was merciless. Every soldier, no matter how small the movement, was marked for destruction. The Madia birds had already shattered Russia's hopes last October, wiping out around 8,000 troops with lethal drone strikes. Now, they had a new mission: hunt every lone infiltrator, no matter where they hid. These drones, nimble and accurate, relentlessly tracked the shadows that moved under the ruined city's scars. Once a soldier was spotted, the attack commenced, constant, unforgiving. The drone footage showed the terrifying precision: one soldier, one drone, an unstoppable death ballet. A recent video captures the horror: an unseen drone zeroes in on a Russian soldier creeping through the rubble, trying to vanish into the ghosts of destroyed tanks and shattered walls. Suddenly, in a flash, screens go silent. We know the strike was successful. The soldier vanishes, eliminated. The horrifying realization: no place is safe anymore. The solo infiltrator is vulnerable, the drones see everything. The city is now a deadly hunting ground, where even the smallest movement spells doom. At this point, can Russia's forces hope to escape? Or have their small, stealthy units sealed their fate with their own silence? The answer lurks within the darkened shadows, waiting. Ukraine's elite drone operators are ruthlessly hunting down every Russian infiltrator in the southern part of the city. No single soldier can slip through their net. Could even one enemy escape this deadly siege? The reconnaissance slipped into this shattered landscape. Trees whispering secrets in the wind. Mud clinging to boots like a suffocating grip. Each step a crackle underfoot, echoing danger. Russia thought their lone wolves could creep deeper into Pekrovsk, hiding in the ruins of abandoned tanks and twisted metal. Believing they were too small to matter. Too insignificant for a drone's attention. But Ukraine's shadowy brigade shattered that illusion, deploying their unmanned killers with relentless precision. On November 11th, a stark report emerged, recording this deadly metamorphosis. An 87-second video lays bare the nightmare. Footage of a solitary Russian marching through dense woods near the front. Observed from above by watchful eyes. He stumbles upon wreckage. Debris from past battles, reeking of burnt rubber and charred earth. Thinking it a sanctuary. A place to vanish into shadows. But he was already marked. Targeted by the vengeful sky. Drones descended like vultures. One after another. Bombarding the hideout with merciless barrage. Whistles of projectiles slicing the air. Explosions rumbling like thunder. Dust clouds choking the senses. Until one seeker found its prey. Locking on with cold accuracy. The outcome? A silent victory. Another invader erased from the map. Russia never foresaw this reversal. Their isolated phantoms. Once perceived as harmless, now hunted ferociously. Treated as lethal threats, no matter the numbers. The elite force eradicates any alien they spot. Results flood in. Over 8,000 Russian lives claimed in October alone. And the toll climbs. Just one video clip reveals 39 soldiers cut down. Motorcycles reduced to scrap. Quad bikes obliterated. Infiltrators pursued without respite. Even those cowering under concrete slabs or garage walls. Unearthed and neutralized. The stench of defeat hanging heavy. Ukraine roars a message: southern Pekrovsk is a death trap. Could Russia ever break free from this drone-dominated no-man's land? As trench warfare evolves into fluid kill zones. Stretching up to 20 kilometers. Blackening skies with swarming machines. Troop range. Landing rescue operations exposed to watchful lenses. A sharp twist emerges. What if Zelensky's next move targets Russia's air superiority with elite fast jet forces? Will the Russian skies finally ignite with Ukrainian fire? Despite claims that the city has been surrounded and its fall was inevitable, Russian forces are still locked in a brutal, bloody battle. Ukrainian defenders are inflicting devastating casualties, turning their city into a fortress that somehow still stands, at least for now. But how much longer can it hold? The tide of this fierce conflict is about to shift in a way nobody expected. It all changed when Ukraine's top units, armed with cutting-edge drone technology, launched a daring new strategy. The Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, personally visited the front lines in Pekrovsk several times in November, understanding the danger hanging over the city. His visits weren't just morale boosts, they were signals to his troops and the world. He needed to see the truth firsthand, to assess the threat, and to prepare for a counterattack that could turn the tide of the war. On November 4, Zelensky made his first visit aboard a convoy rattling through shattered streets, engines roaring over the distant cracks of artillery. Photos captured the moment, but little detail emerged. Still, it was enough to challenge Russia's false narrative, claiming Pekrovsk was encircled and doomed. Zelensky's presence was a reminder that Ukraine refused to surrender this vital city. Yet, the danger was mounting. 9 days later, he returned, sharply aware that Russia's claims had only escalated. Russia's military boasted about taking dozens of buildings, about 35 in total, claiming victory was near. They declared Pekrovsk would soon fall. But Ukraine responded swiftly. They reinforced their defenses with elite units. Deploying some of the best drone operators in the world, the Madhya birds. These warriors aren't just pilots, they're specialists in electronic warfare, deep reconnaissance, and precision strikes. They earned their reputation holding the battered city of Bakhmut for over 100 days, inflicting massive losses on Russian troops. Zelensky's focus on these elite drone units was intense. He visited their bases, the nerve centers of Ukraine's most advanced drone warfare. He watched as these teams, alongside other special forces, formulated plans to annihilate the Russian invasion. Their orders? Finish off every Russian soldier in Pekrovsk, leave no one alive. That command ignited a bloodbath, the kind of conflict that leaves a trail of shattered machinery and broken soldiers in its wake. The Madhya birds responded with brutal efficiency. Deployed to the southern districts, they launched relentless assaults against infiltrators, soldiers sneaking into the city under cover of darkness. These lone infiltrators, numbering around 300, slipped past Ukrainian defenses, trusting the city's maze-like streets to hide them. But that's a dangerous gamble now. From inside Pekrovsk, hidden cameras and thermal sensors reveal a horrific scene: soldiers crawling through rubble, shadows blending into the ruins, trying to vanish from the relentless eye of the drones. Yet, nothing escapes the all-seeing eyes overhead. These elite drones are too nimble, too precise. They hunt solitary infiltrators like predators stalking prey. The Madhya birds don't just spot them, they punish them. One recent drone strike showcased this chilling new tactic. A lone soldier moved cautiously, thinking he was concealed amid the wreckage. But the drones already had him in their sights. In an instant, multiple black-winged machines descended, targeting his hiding spot with relentless precision. The footage, though too graphic for sharing, confirms yet another secret war comes to its deadly conclusion. An infiltrator, once hidden, is now eliminated in seconds. The message is clear: no soldier is safe. Over October, the Madhya birds alone destroyed over 8,000 Russian soldiers. Each new victory tightens the noose, turning Pekrovsk into a battlefield of death. A single drone clip showed 39 enemy soldiers, 6 motorcycles, and a quad bike obliterated in a flash. Infiltrators are hunted day and night, crushed beneath thousands of pounds of drone firepower. Soldiers hiding under rubble or inside garages are found and neutralized. There is nowhere safe anymore. This relentless drone deployment has created lethal zones stretching up to 12 miles from the front lines. Ukraine has transformed its battlefields into hellish corridors, traps of metal and sensors designed to wipe out the enemy at every turn. Russia's infiltrators are vulnerable, unable to move without risking instant death. Even wounded Russian soldiers, spotted from above, are rarely evacuated. The Ukrainian operators don't take chances, they keep eyes on their targets, maintaining a deadly silence over the battlefield. But how do Ukraine's drones achieve such precision? Some carry cameras and thermal detectors, others are armed with tiny bombs and guns. Many simply lie in wait along routes, hidden in the terrain, only coming alive when a soldier or vehicle passes by. The entire region around Pekrovsk has been turned into a sprawling labyrinth of these kill zones, danger zones stretching far beyond the ruins. The consequences of this strategy are staggering. A wounded soldier caught in these zones faces almost certain death. Evacuation is impossible. Ukrainian drones stand guard, waiting for any brave enough to attempt rescue. In this new war, survival is a rare prize. Russian troops are falling daily, some from wounds that could have been survivable in the past, now lost in the drone-infested shadows. What does it all mean? Ukraine's relentless drone warfare isn't just about battlefield tactics, it's a strategic revolution. The skies above Pekrovsk are filled with whirring engines, a swarm of cameras, sensors, and deadly projectiles. In this war of technology and will, every inch gained comes with a price, an increasingly high toll of shattered lives and broken hopes. The war is transforming from traditional trenches into an aerial carnage where the only thing certain is death for those who dare enter the drone's domain. In a war where the battleground is no longer just concrete and steel, but a deadly maze of invisible death zones, the stakes have skyrocketed. Imagine soldiers lying wounded, trapped inside a city turned into a hive of lethal drone surveillance. It's a nightmare where hope is faint, and every move could spell the difference between life and death. Now, picture the horrifying reality: wounded soldiers caught in Ukraine's relentless drone ambushes, nearly impossible to evacuate. How can they be rescued when enemy drones maintain unblinking eyes on them? These drones, tethered by cables, transmit high-definition feeds that leave no room for concealment. When a rescue attempt is made, it's often a trap. Russian forces know this. They anticipate the move, ready to strike the moment a desperate soldier tries to escape. Each failed escape costs lives. Russian troops are dying far more often from wounds they could survive, all because of these deadly zones. Nearly 100 soldiers fall daily inside Pekrovsk, their bodies weakened and broken by the brutal tactics of Ukraine's drones. This isn't just traditional warfare anymore, it's a new, horrific form of combat. Cities have transformed into hellscapes, drone-infested maelstrom that mirror the cruelty Russia has unleashed since Putin's invasion. There's no mercy here. Every inch of these kill zones screams danger. Ukraine's elite drone units, known as the Madhya birds, are the perfect executioners for this ruthless strategy. They hunt relentlessly, turning the southern parts of Pekrovsk into zones where no enemy can hide. Yet, they aren't alone. As these birds spread chaos in the south, a shadowy group called HUR deploys its own elite drone pilots into the city itself. HUR's mission is different but equally deadly, targeting isolated Russian soldiers who have crept inside Pekrovsk's ruined streets and crumbling structures. Their operation, confirmed by local sources, involves a complex and sophisticated hunt to find and eliminate these hidden enemies. These elite drone operators rely on advanced first-person view drones with fiber optics, allowing them to peer into even the smallest hiding places. Inside the ruins, the battle has gone underground, invisible to the naked eye, but not to these high-tech hunters. Every witting soldier is tracked, every movement studied. When a Russian soldier boils down to hiding behind debris or slipping into shadows, these drone pilots strike with unerring precision. They don't just destroy, they annihilate. Each kill zone's relentless assault ensures no Russian infiltrator survives. The sounds are deafening, the whir of drones overhead, the crackle of electronic transmissions, the distant hum of missiles, a symphony of destruction. As the drones patrol tirelessly, the air is thick with anticipation. A wounded soldier? Once a chance for survival? Now just another target in a deadly game where only the strongest or the luckiest can hope to escape. This relentless drone warfare has reshaped Pekrovsk into a fortress of death. The front lines blur across an area stretching up to 20 kilometers, constantly shifting under a blanket of robotic eyes. In this landscape, victory belongs to those with the most advanced technology, the coldest strategies. Humanity is losing this fight, one drone strike at a time. And yet, amid this chaos, a question remains: how much longer can this merciless war continue? With each passing day, the bloodshed grows heavier. The city's ruins echo with suffering, as Ukraine's drones carve a path through enemy ranks, leaving carnage and silence in their wake. In this battle of machines, the true horror is clear: war has become a new kind of nightmare, where death is just a drone away. Despite claims that the city has been fully encircled and its fall was inevitable, fierce fighting still rages on. Ukrainian defenders are holding their ground, inflicting brutal losses on Russian forces each day. The fortress city remains standing, by a thread, but still intact. The turning point? A daring change in Ukraine's strategy that is turning Pekrovsk into a nightmare for the invaders. It all began as Ukrainian leaders recognized the storm brewing. As early as November 4, President Zelensky made a secretive visit to the front lines. The photos were carefully released, blurry images showing the president alongside military commanders, brushing off Russian claims of victory. Russia insisted they had sealed the city, claiming to have cleared dozens of buildings, but Ukraine's forces denied it, insisting they were preparing for a brutal counterattack. On November 11, Zelensky returned, warning that the city's fate was still undecided. Russia's claims of dominance only fueled Ukraine's resolve. Behind closed doors, Ukraine had moved elite units into position, units specialized in drone warfare, electronic intelligence, and deep reconnaissance. One unit, the Birds of Madia, had already made a name for itself. These elite troops had survived the bloody trenches of Bakhmut, inflicting massive casualties on Russian soldiers despite being forced to withdraw. Now, they were back, focused solely on Pekrovsk. The president joined the commanders at the Madia base. Together, they crafted a ruthless plan: crush the Russian forces with unrelenting precision. Zelensky's message was clear: this is our land. We will defend it at all costs. Behind the scenes, the top generals readied their forces, special forces, rapid response units, and the feared First Corps, Ukraine's most formidable fighters. The order came: eliminate every Russian soldier within Pekrovsk. No prisoners, no retreats, just pure destruction. The Madia birds led the charge, unleashing a relentless barrage of drones. Their target? Russian infiltrators hiding among the ruins, armed with small groups slipping past the defenses, trying to establish footholds inside the city. The battlefield turned into a deadly game of hide-and-seek, where each soldier was hunted down relentlessly. Footage emerged, harsh, unrelenting. A lone Russian soldier wandering beneath war-torn trees, clutching a battered weapon. Suddenly, multiple drones circle overhead, silent blades in the sky. A single drone zeroes in, capturing the soldier's trembling movement. In seconds, a hailstorm of attacks obliterates his hiding spot. The silence is deafening after the strike, only the faint whir of drones fading into the distance. They don't just attack, they hunt, strike after strike, until the enemy is no more. The Madia units have taken out thousands of Russian troops already, over 8,000 in October alone, using only their drones. They chase infiltrators through the ruins, hunting them like ghosts in the shadows. Small groups, lone soldiers, even those hiding in basements, none escape the birds. They target and destroy all threats with surgical precision, leaving no room for retreat or regrouping. The scene inside Pekrovsk is now a nightmare zone. Narrow streets filled with the hum of thousands of drones, flashing lights, thermal sights, the buzz of attack. The skies are blackened with surveillance, guns, and bombs. All of this is happening kilometers away from the front lines, making it impossible for Russian soldiers to breathe, hide, or plan. Wounded soldiers, if they're caught, rarely survive. Their cries of pain echo in the silence of the ruined city, a haunting reminder of Ukraine's unwavering resolve. As the destruction intensifies, the question remains, how long can Pekrovsk withstand this onslaught? And what's the real cost behind the relentless drone war? The answer might shock you, because what Ukraine is unleashing now has changed the very face of modern warfare. Imagine this, Russia's iron grip on Pokrovsk crumbles as Ukrainian drones turn the skies into a deadly storm, wiping out thousands in a single month. But can one elite unit really hold back an endless tide of assaults? What if the city's fate hinges on a single, ruthless command? As we saw before, Ukraine's drone masters, including the fierce Magyar birds, have shattered Russian armor before it even reaches the front. Tanks explode in flames, their crews vanishing in the chaos. President Zelensky beams with pride, knowing supply lines stay open and the city breathes free. Now, picture the dust-choked air of Pokrovsk, where tension hangs like a storm cloud. Zelensky returns to this battered heartland. His steps echo through makeshift command posts, the sharp scent of earth and oil filling the air. He honors the Magyar birds, HUR drone experts, and other top units. Medals gleam under dim lights. Voices murmur strategies, what comes next in this endless fight? If Zelensky speaks true, Russia gains nothing in late November. Assaults rage fiercer, yet progress stalls. Why can't they break through? Medusa's November 19 update paints the scene. Russia boasts of encirclement weeks ago, but fails. Ukraine grips Rokina tight, blocking western pushes. Main gates to Pokrovsk stay secure. The vital road to Dnipro hums with Ukrainian resolve. Feel the ground tremble under artillery's roar, the acrid smoke stinging eyes. Pokrovsk's shield holds firm, but danger lurks. Zelensky warns of it himself, as Euromaidan press notes. 1/3 of daily frontline clashes erupt here, or nearby. Russia's glide bombs multiply, half aimed at this key hub. Early November peaks at 100 assaults in one day, a fury matched only twice in 2025. The city's pulse quickens with every boom, defenders' hearts pounding in rhythm. Pokrovsk endures brutal siege. Ukraine vows to cling on, as the Kyiv Independent shares from Syrsky's November 13 words. No Russian hold on Pokrovsk, he posts on Telegram. No encirclement of our forces. Stability rides on seamless teamwork, commands syncing like clockwork. But what if that coordination cracks under pressure? As clashes intensify, does one overlooked flaw invite disaster? Amidst swirling claims about Russian control over Pekrovsk and the city's supposed encirclement, Ukraine's defenders are holding firm. Despite relentless pressure, they manage to keep crucial supply and evacuation routes open. This resilience sends a sharp shock through Russian propaganda, contradicting their narrative of an inevitable fall. Yet, the battle remains fierce. Can Ukraine truly hold its ground against a formidable force? Recent exploits by Ukraine's elite drone units, the Magyar birds, and specialized electronic warfare teams suggest that the current situation isn't as dire as Moscow claims. Ukrainian forces are actively defending the city, preventing the enemy from deepening their hold. Tensions rise as reports emerge that Russian troops are disguising themselves as civilians within Pekrovsk, blending into the chaos to sow confusion and fear. How effective are these tactics, and what might they lead to? Despite the heavy Russian buildup, up to 150,000 soldiers massed around Pekrovsk, Ukraine's military remains resilient. They've managed to navigate the treacherous urban landscape, maintaining vital supply routes and evacuations. The city's defenders are standing their ground, even as Putin's forces prepare for a final, brutal push before winter's grip narrows the battlefield. Could the cold weather turn the tide against Ukraine's defenses and allow Russia to seize Pekrovsk? Or will the Ukrainian lines hold, defying the odds? As Russian infiltrators resort to increasingly cruel tactics, the situation grows darker. Reports from Ukrainian intelligence reveal that Russian units are now deploying civilians as human shields, forcing them to walk ahead of advancing soldiers or to occupy buildings as cover. The scent of fear hangs heavy in the air as innocent lives are caught in this deadly game. What will be the cost of this brutal strategy? And how long can Ukraine's brave defenders withstand these escalating threats? Every moment counts. The city's fate hangs in the balance as fierce battles rage, drones hunt stealthy infiltrators, and the winter deadline looms. The world watches with bated breath. Will Pekrovsk fall or become a symbol of unyielding resistance? The answer lies in the next move, and the courage of those fighting for their homeland. In recent days, Russian forces have escalated their brutal tactics inside Pekrovsk, a city now teetering on the edge of chaos. Civilians are being exploited as shields, grabbed from the few remaining residents and forced to walk ahead of advancing soldiers as buildings are stormed. This blatant violation of international law under Article 28 of the Geneva Convention reveals a weaponized strategy designed to terrorize and manipulate the population. Yet, one must ask, how much further will such atrocities push the boundaries of morality before the entire city descends into irreversible darkness? As if kidnapping civilians wasn't enough, Russian troops are resorting to deception. Photos and reports indicate that soldiers are shedding their uniforms, disguising themselves as ordinary civilians. Their rifles are the only giveaway, if they don't abandon their weapons entirely. Imagine the chilling sensation of walking through a city eerily silent, with the faint smell of dust and smoke hanging in the air, knowing that the very people you see might be enemy infiltrators in disguise. This insidious camouflage is a war crime, Russia's desperate attempt to entangle Ukraine in a dilemma: shoot innocent civilians or let the infiltrators slip through. Does Putin truly believe these acts will turn the tide, or is this a sign of his retreat into madness? This level of desperation signals that Russia's advanced assault on Pekrovsk is faltering. Instead of complete domination and encirclement, Ukraine's defenders have turned the city into a fortress of their own, an intricate maze of kill zones and drone ambushes. Ukrainian elite drone units, especially the renowned Magyar birds, relentlessly hunt down Russian infiltrators. Using advanced FPV drones, they track and eliminate enemy soldiers, shredding their plans with precision strikes. Inside Pekrovsk, every small movement is under scrutiny. The city streets echo with the hum of drones, silent but deadly, and the air is thick with tension. How long can Russia's tactics withstand such relentless resistance? Is the city's fall just a matter of weeks, or will Ukraine's defenses hold out longer than anyone expects? Meanwhile, as the front lines tighten, Ukraine has launched a bold countermove beyond Pekrovsk's borders. In a strategic blow to Russia's resource backbone, Ukrainian forces have targeted the region's energy infrastructure. Series of precise strikes have plunged occupied Donetsk into darkness, crippling Russian logistics and sowing chaos among their ranks. Imagine the piercing cold, frozen landscapes, flickering lights, and the distant sounds of disrupted machinery, Russia's hold on the region weakening with each blackout. How much longer can Putin's forces sustain their failed siege amid the shadows? Each attack strips away their control, exposing vulnerabilities they desperately want to hide. The battle for Pekrovsk is reaching a critical juncture. While Russian war crimes stain the city's earth, Ukraine's resilience shines through. Even as the enemy employs tactics that border on the barbaric, Ukrainian forces refuse to yield. Their drone fighters continue to hunt down infiltrators, and the city's defenders brace for what comes next. Will the winter freeze impose a final chokehold on Russian advances, or will Ukraine's unyielding strategy turn the tide in this deadly game? One thing is certain: behind the smoke and chaos, a shocking truth is emerging. The city that Russia claimed was encircled and destined to fall is proving to be a bastion of fierce resistance, and the world is about to witness a twist that could change everything.